Oh, aloha. You're probably wondering why I'm dressed like this. I actually just got back from a vacation to Isle Delfino. Yeah, the one from Mario Sunshine. It's a real place. I know, it's crazy. You don't believe me, do you? Well, I even got pictures to prove it, okay? See? This one is me at Gelato Beach, just chilling. And then this one is me inside Hotel Delfino. It's so famous. There were no ghosts though, so that's a little disappointing. And I also found this souvenir shop inside Pinna Park, and they had these interesting t-shirts that I think you might like. But yeah, overall I had a pretty good time, and... the hell? You know what, don't worry about that. There's weird noises here all the time. We'll just talk about Mario Sunshine for now, right? Yeah. A few months ago, we talked about Mario 64, the game that laid the groundwork for many other 3D platformers that would come in the future. The game had plenty of jank to go around, but even so, it still manages to be a fun game to this day. You want to hear a secret? The jank doesn't end there. The Nintendo 64 had a decent 5-year run with plenty of game series making their entry into the 3-dimensional space, but many of Nintendo's big hitters were noticeably missing. Metroid was nowhere to be seen, Mother 64 never saw the light of day, not that it was one of Nintendo's big hitters, but you know what I mean. Fire Emblem was left behind on the Super Famicom, and so on. There were plenty of flagship series showing up on the Nintendo 64, but many of them were pretty late into the console's lifecycle, like Kirby 64. There are some good games on the Nintendo 64, especially for its time, but I feel like many people would agree that it doesn't have the strongest library. This brings us to 2001, with the release of the Nintendo GameCube. I feel like most people would agree that this was a really weird era for Nintendo, with plenty of experimentation going on. New game franchises were doing strange but unique things, like Pikmin, Chibi Robo, and Animal Crossing. Yeah, I know Animal Crossing was originally for the Nintendo 64 in Japan, but let's ignore that for now. Familiar series were making their way to the console as well, but in ways nobody expected. A cartoon-style, cel-shaded Zelda game? A first-person shooter Metroid game? A Kirby racing game? In no way was Mario immune to this experimental phase. Mario Kart was letting 2 people play in one cart, Mario Strikers showed some badass soccer action, and Luigi was getting his own standalone game where he sucks up ghosts in a vacuum cleaner. That last one wasn't so well received at first, which was something a lot of GameCube games were facing. This was the first time since the NES that a Nintendo console wasn't launching alongside a brand new game in the mainline Super Mario series, and people were disappointed about that. People came to love Luigi's Mansion and Wind Waker once they finally got their hands on them, but the GameCube wasn't doing too hot overall. The PS2 was doing numbers that Nintendo had no chance of catching up to, and Microsoft was joining the fray of their Xbox console, drawing people in with Halo. Regardless, we're not here to talk about the console wars. People who may have been disappointed with Luigi's Mansion had nothing to worry about, as there was a brand new 3D Mario experience on the horizon. In the words of Nintendo themselves, wet yourself. Alright, maybe the fans had something to worry about after all. Mario's about to give me a totally PG experience that I can show my kids, right? Nothing illegal going on here? As you can tell from a glance, Mario Sunshine definitely exemplifies this weird age that Nintendo found themselves in. The game's big gimmick is that you have a water jetpack that you have to use to clean up an island. I mean, how do you even think of this? Miyamoto just looks at his water bottle one day and thinks, yes, this is perfect. Yeah, sorry, I shouldn't blame everything on Miyamoto like everyone else seems to. He hasn't directed a Mario game since Mario 64 after all. The truth is that the idea came from the GameCube controller. The GameCube utilizes analog triggers, which recognizes how far you press the trigger rather than just pressing it to get the job done like a digital trigger. Many games use this to simulate gradually increasing the acceleration in racing games or something along those lines, but Yoshiaki Koizumi, the director of Sunshine, realized that he could utilize this feature to simulate shooting a water gun, and that's where the idea for FLUDD came from. Granted, if you're playing the Nintendo Switch version, that's completely irrelevant since the controllers don't have analog triggers. In the original version, you would lightly press the trigger to be able to spray water while walking, and then you would press all the way down to stand still and shoot. Obviously, the Joy-Cons and Pro Controller aren't capable of that, so they just assigned one of the actions to R and the other to ZR. As someone who played Sunshine for the first time on the Switch, I think it works perfectly fine, but it's really weird to be missing a key component that FLUDD was based upon, you know? Anyway, that's enough background. Let's talk about the story, something Miyamoto absolutely despises. Alright, I said I wouldn't blame everything on Miyamoto, my bad. That one was all in good fun anyway. But we're not here to talk about Paper Mario right now, so let's move on. Compared to the previous Mario games, I say this one's got a beefy story, except that beef isn't actually made of real beef. What I mean by that is that the story is finally more than just Peach getting kidnapped by Bowser, but it ultimately just amounts to that anyway, just with a new coat of paint. Pun definitely intended. The game has some actual cutscenes, which I think is pretty cool, but most of them are just at the beginning of the game. Let's take a look.
What's this icky paint-like goop? It's moving!
No, boys, don't touch that stuff.
Wait, what the f? They can fucking talk? There's actual voice acting. The Toads are saying actual words. That's not possible. That's not allowed. Who allowed this? People like to debate over whether the voice acting is good or not, and really, I don't care. There's only a few cutscenes, and it's a goddamn Mario game. I could care less what the Piantas sound like. Honestly, I like their voices. I think it's fitting. Anyway, Mario, Peach, and Toadsworth take a flight to Isle Delfino for a vacation, where they discover this icky paint-like goop. Some dude who looks exactly like Mario and yet absolutely nothing like him at the same time covered the island in paint, and the Piantas arrest Mario because they're fucking idiots. I mean, I'm not saying they're brain dead or anything, but they literally have vegetables in their heads. That seems pretty spot on to me. Now, they have Mario cleaning up the island to have any hope of getting out of jail, and honestly, what the hell is stopping him from leaving? Peach still has the plane, right? He can just hop in and go. It's not like they're surveying his every move or anything. I guess Mario is just that good of a person after all? Don't let Matt Pat know I said that though. After doing some work across the island, Shadow Mario eventually shows up, and he has a ridiculously long tongue. Like, I don't even want to know what he does with that thing, or what the internet has already made him do with that thing. Turns out, this motherfucker is Bowser Jr., Bowser's son. I mean, that's not necessarily new ground, considering Bowser had 7 kids already in Mario 3 in a Mario World, but apparently they aren't actually his kids. They're just like upper tier minions or something. Supposedly he only has one real son, and it's this douchebag. I call him that, but he's actually my main in Mario Kart 8, so maybe I should show some respect. Anyway, this dude shows up, takes Peach, and claims she's his mom. Like, what the f? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. She's been kidnapped God knows how many times at this point, and clearly doesn't do anything to stop it. Something tells me she's not getting kidnapped, and she's just putting on a show to convince Mario otherwise, because let's face it, he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. Like, she couldn't be bothered to increase security at all? For God's sake, stop using toads in your goddamn military! The spears don't help them, they're still toads! So Bowser Jr. takes her away, and eventually Mario makes his way to Corona Mountain to kick Bowser's ass. Say, is Isle Delfino in China by any chance? Because I'm just saying. Something tells me the Piantas aren't all about naming mountains after beer. Anyway, Mario makes it to the top, finds Bowser, taking a bath and whatever the hell this is, and then an easy boss fight ensues, and Mario wins. At the end, that's it. There's some father and son bonding over the mutual hatred of a fat Italian plumber, but that's about it. Now, let's take a look at Mario, yeah. He's definitely looking a lot better than the Nintendo 64 days. I mean, it's hard to believe they were making games for the Nintendo 64 just a few years before this. He's got a lot more polygons than last time, but I still don't know what those are. What is this? What the f is a polygon? And he doesn't do that weird thing when he's far away anymore. I'm not saying this game looks amazing or anything, but just compare these two men and tell me which one you'd rather go on a date with. The physics are, well, weird. I mean, they don't really make sense. If you want Mario to run, he sure can run, that's for sure, and it doesn't take a whole lot for him to do it either. He's still got all the somersaults and whatnot, but it just feels different, you know? It's just hard to explain, but if you played Sunshine, you know what I'm talking about. The best way to show you what I mean is to make a quick comparison for you. Here's one of the secret levels in Mario Sunshine. This, on the other side, is the remake of the same level from Super Mario Galaxy 2. Now, if we compare these two, you can see how wildly different the physics are. Now, I get it, these are two completely different games, but I think it proves my point. The physics in Sunshine don't make much sense when you really look at this. But hey, it plays just fine for me, and that's all that matters. You have the spray nozzle, which is exactly what it sounds like. You spray water. Truly innovative. You can't get rid of this one, it's always with you. You get a second nozzle as well, usually the hover nozzle. This is the one that gives you a water jetpack to hover over stuff. It's usually used to safely make jumps and whatnot. You can also get the rocket nozzle, which shoots you high into the sky, and the turbo nozzle, which lets you run super fast and over water, just like Jesus, who you can hear all about in this video. Is it time to talk levels? Let's talk levels. Delfino Plaza is the home world, and I've gotta say, I really like it. It feels cool to have an actual small town to walk through of citizens just hanging out, and by hanging out I mean asking you to deliver durians and a brain damage inducing mission for a measly coin. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention blue coins. Okay, we'll come back to the level discussion in a minute. So, the main collectibles in this game are the Shine Sprites. Don't be fooled, they're basically just power stars, not very different from Mario 64. They pretty much power Isle Delfino and keep the sun shining bright or something like that. I mean, I'm pretty sure the game does get brighter the more shines you get, so there's that. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Children, cover your ears. We're talking about blue coins. There are 120 shines, just like Mario 64, but there are 240 blue coins scattered across every level. If you don't keep track of which ones you've already gotten, you'll be on a painstaking journey to find them all to 100% the game. Many people hate these, but I didn't have many issues with them personally. Granted, I had a list that I followed to a T for the most part, so I guess that makes sense, but even with a guide, many people still dislike getting them, seeing it as just another extra thing to get if you want to 100% the game. Every 10 blue coins is worth 1 shine sprite, meaning you get 24 of the 120 shine sprites from collecting the blue coins and trading them with old Tom Nook here. That actually brings me to one of my biggest problems with this game. If you don't want to 100% the game, Mario 64 did pretty well in that aspect. You just have to collect 70 stars. It doesn't matter what they are, as long as you have 70 stars, you can fight Bowser and beat the game. Sunshine, no, it's not like that at all. You have to beat the first 7 shines in every world in order to go to Corona Mountain and beat the game. There are 8 shines per level and several extra ones in Delfino Plaza, and many of those shines are some of the most difficult ones in the entire game. And yet the way this game handles this completely invalidates those levels if you aren't playing to 100% the game. In my opinion, that's complete bullshit and terrible game design, but whatever. I'm not a game designer. I have no room to talk. Not much more to say about Delfino Plaza. It's got nice music, and I'd much rather run around a small, vibrant town like this than Peach's Castle, you know? I feel like this is a pretty iconic hub world. It went on to become a stage in Smash Bros. It got a track somewhat based on it in Mario Kart. Delfino Square is really cool. And it's in the Mario mashup pack in Minecraft. Alright, first real world, Bianco Hills. It's a typical first level. It's just a grassy area with some hills and windmills, and with a giant windmill at the top of the stage. There's a small town area and a lake, but that's about it. I guess we should call this Green Hill Zone, huh? The shines aren't anything to write home about. The noteworthy ones are the ones with PD Piranha, a giant piranha plant you have to defeat twice. The first time is inside the giant windmill, and the second time he flies around the level and you have to shoot him down. The way to beat him is the same both times though. You shoot water down his throat and then crush his stomach, that's it. We're introduced to secret levels for the first time here. These shines are in small areas completely separate from the main level where you have to go through a platforming challenge without FLUDD, and some of these get really difficult. I think both of these ones are pretty easy though. Red coin levels are also back from Mario 64. There are a few in the main level where you need to get 8 red coins, and then you also have to redo the secret levels to get red coins there, with FLUDD this time. Now, I'm not going to talk anymore about any secret levels besides one that really agitates me, because for the most part, I didn't find them that difficult, but they're some of the most fun parts of the game, honestly, so yeah. Rico Harbor is cool. It's kind of like Dire Docks, but cooler and also nothing like it. I think the only reason I even said that is because there's poles you can jump on in this level, which is similar to the poles in the red coin star in Dire Docks. As you'd expect, it is a harbor, which I think is neat. Each level is a different part of the island, so it makes sense that such a big landmass would have a harbor like this. I also really like the music here, it's just really catchy. There are some boats chilling and a lot of crates around, but that's about it. That probably sounds pretty boring, but I really like this level anyway, and I can't really say enough to justify that. Of course, the most notable shines in this level are the ones where you fight Goober Blooper. He's a giant blooper that you have to tear the arms off of and then try to rip his mouth off. Yeah, it's pretty violent. You send him on his merry way in the first mission, but he comes back in the 5th mission because he's really into this stuff, I guess. I mean, I'm sure some people are really into him, well, with the tentacles and all, so I guess it's mutual. There were a few missions where you have to surf on these colorful bloopers, which I think is fun, but also really easy to mess up if you pick one that's too fast. If you crash into a boat or something, you're screwed, so have fun getting those red coins! In the 8th mission, you get to ride Yoshi and take him on a fruit adventure, which might just be the gayest thing I've ever heard, but I'm not judging. Oh yeah, Yoshi's in this game. Apparently he needs fruit to live now, and if he runs out, he disintegrates. He also dies if he touches water, so that's neat, I guess. You can shoot fruit juice out of his mouth the same way you shoot water with Flood, and you can turn enemies into platforms by juicing them. And that's what the fruit adventure is all about. I'll also mention that the 7th mission of every level is to chase down Shadow Mario and spray him until he sits his ass down. I guess that's why you have to beat the first 7 levels in every world. You're driving Shadow Mario out of the world until he has no choice but to retreat to Corona Mountain, which I guess makes sense. They still should have done things like Mario 64 though, that way I could actually justify putting myself through hell. The next world is Gelato Beach, and yep, it's a giant beach alright. Not much going on here, it's just a beach, but I guess that's about like real life, yeah. There's plenty of palm trees in the center, which is about the only thing that sticks out besides the giant mirrors that exist for some reason. There's a few shacks around, and at the top of the level there's a giant watermelon that's pretty important. Oh, and the entire place is infested with cataquacks, my mortal enemies. Let's talk notable missions here. In the second mission, giant cataquacks are chilling on the mirrors and you have to take them out. In the third mission, there's a giant angry wiggler running around the beach, and you have to kill the poor dude. Like, he literally falls apart into several pieces. Morbid. In the fourth mission, you have to ride the sandbird and try not to fall off while collecting the red coins. Oh yeah, that's what the mirrors are for. There is a giant egg that the bird was inside, and the mirrors were, reflecting sunlight on the egg to get it to hatch faster. Not that I wanted it to hatch at all. Some people really hate the sandbird mission and find it really difficult. I definitely died a few times, but it's really not that bad as long as you use Flood well enough. In the 5th episode, you race this dude named Piantissimo, who's wearing a Pianta head for some reason. He's basically just Koopa the Quick from Mario 64, but actually a little more challenging, honestly. Also, apparently, without the mask, he just looks like the Running Man from Ocarina of Time, or the Mailman from Majora's Mask. Wild. And episode 8 is the Watermelon Festival, another shine many people find difficult. I honestly didn't have much trouble with it, but I think I just got lucky. That giant watermelon at the top, yeah, you have to roll that down the beach and across a bridge while trying to make sure the cataquacks don't touch it. They won't hesitate to throw you into the air, and if they touch the watermelon, it's gone for good. Well, not for good. You can go back up and get it, but you know, that's kind of a pain, you know? The 4th world is Pinna Park, one that I think is really cool. And it's basically just an amusement park. It's got a Ferris wheel, giant ships, a Yoshi go-round, and a roller coaster. Granted, it's a pretty shit amusement park if it only has like 4 rides, but it's still more unique than some of the other levels. See, that's why I like this level in Rico Harbor more than some of the others. A lot of this game just kind of blends together, considering so many of the worlds have beaches and whatnot. In the first mission, you have to ride a roller coaster and shoot rockets at Mecha Bowser, a giant robot controlled by Bowser Jr. This guy is the only Mecha Bowser that matters. The Mario Galaxy version will never be as good as him. In the 4th mission, you have to revive these wilted sunflowers by killing these weird Yoshi-Koopa hybrid things. In the 5th mission, you have to climb the Ferris wheel, and in the 8th one, you get to go on the roller coaster again while shooting balloons. That one isn't a very fun mission if you screw it up. The 5th world is Sirena Beach, home to a giant Hotel Delfino, and by extension, Casino Delfino. I really like this level just because of the sunset alone, it's just really pretty, you know? Also, this world's layout is just a GameCube controller, so that's neat. In this world, you have to kill the silhouette of a giant manta ray, navigate the confusing hotel, fight King Boo in a casino, and you get forced to actually clean stuff up for once on a time limit. You ever notice how, like, they're sentencing Mario to, like, clean up the entire island to get released from prison, but, like, you barely do that? Like, there's only a few missions in the game where you actually have to clean everything up, you know? It's kind of weird, you know? Something to note is that the King Boo in this level is apparently not the same King Boo from Luigi's Mansion. It's a nice nod to the game regardless though. Another nod to the game is Bowser Jr.'s paintbrush, which was made by Professor E. Gadd, who also made the Poltergust in Luigi's Mansion. The 6th world is Noki Bay, the home of the Nokis. This level really feels like it has some scale. You basically have to climb a huge mountain wall where there's a ton of ledges and stuff, so if you were tired of moving horizontally all the time, I guess now there's nowhere to go but up. Or down, because you also get to go deep into the ocean. Some of your tasks here are defeating a Monty Mole who throws bombs, defeating Gooper Blooper for the 3rd time, collecting red coins inside of a bottle, cleaning a giant eel's teeth, racing Il Piantissimo again, and chasing a fish made out of coins. When this place isn't facing major pollution, I think it's one of the most peaceful areas in the game. I just find the music really soothing, and it gets even more relaxing when you go into the depths of the ocean to collect coins. Now, I feel like if any level would be a pain to get blue coins in, it's this one. I mean, you have to go to some pretty specific ledges and spray some specific squares in the wall to find them, so I'd recommend a guide for this level. The 7th and final main world is Pianta Village, a small village of old where the Piantas used to live. Many Piantas still choose to live here even when there's larger cities like Delfino Plaza, so I think it's safe to say this place definitely holds some history. There's plenty of mushrooms that you have to traverse in the village's underside, and a giant palm tree in the center, but there's not much to write home about as far as the layout goes. Some of your missions include washing off flaming chain chomps, raising Il Piantissimo on a tree, cleaning Piantas who were never taught how to stop, drop, and roll, navigating the Goopy Village without flood, and my least favorite secret level. I don't mind most of the other ones, but this one irks me. Meet the Chucksters, Piantas who throw you in the direction you're facing. You have to get the distance and direction just right to be able to make it to the next platform, but sometimes things go wrong for seemingly no reason when a motherfucker throws you at an angle he wasn't supposed to. If it wasn't for another shine we haven't talked about yet, I would say this is my least favorite one. The Chucksters. Oh yeah, you also get a shine sprite from spraying the sun, however that works. Now, as we've discussed, Corona Mountain is the last level and there's not much to see here. There's just platforms with fire and spikes that you have to jump across with lava covering the entire level. You don't have to ride a boat through the lava without crashing. That's about it. The Delfino Airstrip is a small area that you see at the beginning of the game, but that's about it. It's just a small runway with plenty of coins and sometimes some icky paint like goop. We already talked about Delfino Plaza, but let's talk about some of the shine sprites you can get here, because some of them are really disliked. You get 2 shines for just smashing a bunch of crates, so that's not too hard. You can clean some bells and stuff, that's not too hard. But let's talk about some of the standalone courses you may find yourself in while traversing Delfino Plaza. You can go down a giant slide or use the turbo nozzle for some fast-paced platforming, but you and I both know that's not what we're talking about here. First up, the Pachinko Shine. You're inside of a giant pachinko machine and you have to traverse your way to the 8 red coins without falling through the bottom to your death. I've beaten this level before, but I honestly don't understand how it works. Just use your hover nozzle and hope that you make it to those red coins. But in my opinion, the pachinko machine isn't that bad. My least favorite shine in the entire game is the lily pad level. To start with, it's such a long process to even get here in the first place. You have to get Yoshi, constantly give him fruit, and patiently wait for boats so you can ride the boat to the next boat until you eventually make it to a warp pipe. Or you have to use Yoshi's juice to clear a path, so if you run out of Yoshi before that point, you're screwed. If you run out of lives on the lily pad level, which I did several times, it's a huge pain to have to do the whole Yoshi quest again to get back, especially since sometimes I'd accidentally miss the boat and end up killing Yoshi in the water, just pissing me off even more. Like, why can't he swim? Anyway, the actual level sucks too. You have to ride a lily pad across poisonous water while collecting red coins, meaning you have to be going in the exact right direction, the exact right angle, everything has to be exactly right the entire time to have any hope of getting all of the coins. Any error is too much. If you miss a coin, you might as well just restart. There's also a pipe at the end of the level which you would think would reset the level so you can retry. Nope, it takes you back out to Delfino Plaza, meaning you have to fight Yoshi all over again. If you do this level, be sure to come in with as many lives as you can, so you don't have to feel the pain that I did. Now that we've discussed all the levels, I'll go ahead and put up my tier list now for you all to see. Rico Harbor is at the top for no particular reason, it's just my favorite level to play for some reason. I also like Rusty Bucket Bay and Banjo-Kazooie, so there's that. I give Pinna Park and Noki Bay some praise, so it makes sense that they're an A. The B rank levels aren't bad by any means, but I just didn't find them too interesting overall. Bianco Hills gets a C rank because it's bland and boring. While I'm at it, I'll go ahead and rank the Mario 64 levels as well, since I didn't do that in the last video. I'm not gonna waste time going over my justifications here, you can hear what I think about these levels in my Mario 64 video. One thing I will say is, yeah, I put Whomp's Fortress in S, but Bob-omb Battlefield in A. That might seem a little contradictory, since I said that it's weird that they remade Whomp's Fortress and Galaxy 2 instead of Bob-omb Battlefield when it's so much more iconic. But hey, I never said I liked it more. I actually like Whomp's Fortress more, I find it more fun to play. In the Mario 64 video, I talked a bit about conspiracies and creepypastas and stuff, but I can't really do that here. I don't know why Mario 64, of all games, is the game that's surrounded by all that, but it just is. No floating Wario heads, no L's real, nothing like that in Sunshine. Something to note is that I feel like this game, more than any other Mario game, uses a lot of new enemies. There are still some iconic Mario enemies like Bullet Bills, Boos, and Chain Chomps, but there's no Goombas and no regular Koopa Troopas, nothing like that. And you know what, that kinda makes sense. This is a foreign land, so it only makes sense that there would be plenty of new species. There are plenty that are similar to enemies we know, like the Electric Koopas, but they're new, strange variations of our old friends. I think that's neat.
And there's not much left for me to say about this game. I mean, if you have enough shines, Mario can rock some sunglasses, but that's about it.
And yeah, that's about everything you need to know about Mario Sunshine. And okay, I just missed it the first time, but now this is getting weird. I really don't like these noises. You and me, let's investigate. I mean, the coast looks clear out there, but you can never know for sure, so let's go take another look. Oh no. Did the IRS finally find out what happened? No, coast is clear. No IRS, no police, nothing. Alright, I'm getting fed up with this. This just doesn't make any sense. I've been gone all week. The house was locked. I mean, there's no way someone's in my house, right? Wait. Unless something followed me home. No. No, 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 no. It's the loudest right here. Whatever it is, it's in the closet. Okay. It's now or never. 3, 2, 1.